here's our other question, which is a more HVAC related question. It is, what are his thoughts on Aeroseal? Will it or should it replace conventional duct sealer? That sounds great. We don't have to seal the ducts at all. We can just spray crap in them and it's finished.
I really like Aeroseal. I've been subcontracting it out on certain projects on either, I have a couple houses they have comfort issues, and I've been doing like more kind of paid consulting, if you will, kind of like getting paid to actually diagnose serious comfort issues in people's houses, which I've never gotten into that before in the
Wow.
past. Um, and one of the big things I found on these older houses is they have a serious, even though the ducts are inside of the envelope, when you have a 2-story or 3-story house, if you have 30 or 40% duct leakage, you're not getting your airflow from point A to point B, you know?
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys, especially in the commercial environment, say, well, it doesn't matter. It's in the conditioned space, but every crack lowers the pressure in the duct. So the periphery gets the least amount of airflow possible. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And so, what led you into going in that route, more of the performance route?
I got into it by actually listening to Gil Cavey on HVAC Uncensored.
I
One
don't
of
see
the
how
episodes,
sales plays into this.
yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I like Gil.
he uh, he had Nate Adams from HVAC 2.0 on,
All right.
and I remember it, very vividly. And I called in. I had a question for Nate, and then I just started kind of following Nate, and that kind of got me into. And then I started meeting all these other people: Jenry Garcia, Christopher Hughes, um, you name it, Steve Rogers, Bill Graber, all these building performance people, and I'm just learning as much as I possibly can. Michael Hausch, he's freaking brilliant. Michael Hausch is one of
Yeah.
the smartest people I've ever met.
He's got an awesome voice, too.
Yep,
I like his voice. Michael House. He's been on Overtime as well, right?
yep.
Yeah. Michael House. I never talked to him. I was going to talk to him one time, but then it's one of them things where, I don't know, life got in the way or something. I don't know. But Corbett Lunsford is another one I thought of as soon as you were talking about something. That sounds like something Corbett would do, like the consulting route. So, what's
Yep.
it like to go from fixing to consulting?
Well, I'm kind of consulting with the hopes that they fix and pay a lot of money to actually, because if you have like serious issues like that, it most likely is going to cost some serious money to fix. Like
Yeah.
I grew up in the trade and these big houses with bedrooms over garages. When I remember when I was 18, 20 years old or whatever, they say, "What can I do? This room is uncomfortable. It's a master bedroom." Well, the ductwork kind of sucks, and it is what it is. I mean, there's really nothing you can do now. The house is built. Well, now I know that there's a path to kind of figure that out, and it doesn't always involve throwing a mini split at the room either. You could actually solve it without having an ugly piece of plastic hanging off the wall.
I'm going to take away my answer then. That was awesome. Well, where's the mini split going to go? Okay. So all right, let's talk about that. So we have one of these zones where someone's got a finished room over the garage, and they have a 4-ton HVAC system for you, I guess, air conditioner with a furnace, and they have their whatever it is 8-inch duct run out there, 475 equivalent length or something. What are you looking? How are you looking to solve it, or how have you solved problems like that in the past that aren't mini split solutions?
So I look at it a couple different ways right off the bat. I'll look at I kind of do like a home assessment where I'll do a blower door test. I also do kind of zonal pressure testing, not with the blower door, but actually with the blower motor of the furnace. I guess that's not really called zonal. It's more like pressure mapping to see if you have balanced supply and return in each individual room. Um, and then I do an airflow test with the True Flow grid, look at all pressure drops on the system as far as filter, evaporator coil, and your total external static pressure, and what your actual true airflow is of the total system airflow of the system as it's running right now. And then when I do a load calculation, I try to figure out what do I actually need? How many BTUs do I need room by room? And then you start breaking that up with airflow and look at, well, do we have the correct size equipment? And even if we use the same equipment, how much airflow should we have for this room to make this happen. A lot of times the ducts are too small for the existing equipment, but might be a good size for smaller equipment. And then you start looking at duct leakage, like measure the airflow at the room and compare that to what the total system airflow is. So you're comparing delivered to total, and you could kind of start figuring out duct leakage without a duct blaster.
See, I always liked the idea. David and I were talking about that. I know in years past. So, in your experience measuring capacity at the equipment compared to capacity at the room, how big of a difference on average you say it is percentage wise? So, how much of a loss?
Most of the time, I'm seeing if it's like a system that's not sealed, something prior to 2010, 30 to 40%, easy.
Tremendous, yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's tremendous, okay, you got your 4 ton, you're getting 2.2 tons or 2.5 tons in the house, and then depending on where the cracks are, you're creating either a negative or positive pressure in the home. When you kind of lay out what you have to do, whether it's drop the tonnage, seal the ductwork simultaneously, because if you seal the ductwork, all of a sudden all the air is getting in there,
right?
And then you have to account for that problem potentially. So how do you come up to the people and say, hey, this is going to cost you $1 million to do all this stuff? How do you?
Well, I
'cause they
usually
must have
give them
called
like
you knowing that.
that was one of the things that I've, kind of learned from HVAC 2.0 is give them a menu of repairs and be like, well, listen, this is kind of what I found that's wrong with your system. I'm not necessarily saying you have to fix all of these to make things work right. But if you only choose one of them, the odds of you actually making a difference are probably fairly low. You could try to start at the top and work your way down the list until you actually achieve some, success. Um, and you give them like odds of success. Hey, if you do this, this, and this, you're probably going to have some pretty good results.
So maybe if you were to come up with like 10 things, would you say if you're going to do number 8, you should probably do 5 and 3 to do this group of items, or else it might have unintended consequences. Filtration wise, do you often upgrade to filtration?
I used to always like offer it to people, but now I don't even offer it anymore. If you're getting a system installed by me, 100% installs that are happening by me it's going to be a big freaking media air cleaner, and that's it. You don't have a choice.
I like those. I like having those, and it doesn't affect the system a whole lot as long as you account for it. What about the UV lightsabers? All sorts of those things, ionizers, laser beam, Star Wars, whatever. Do you do
that
was
something we used to sell a lot of air scrubbers and used to do a lot of blue lights in that back in the day. I did HEPA bypass filters with PCO, PCO filters or whatever you call them. I don't know. I never really got into the I waves in that, but I took a class. We had John Ellis on the show. John Ellis works for Daikin. He has his own indoor air quality, training. And I learned so much from John Ellis. And he went through all these different studies of all the pollutants that these different air quality products add to the air. And now I'm a believer in the holy trinity of indoor air quality: humidity control, filtration, and what's the last one? Humidity and ventilation. I'm sorry.